Mr. Vice President, thanks for doing this, for being here with us. We appreciate it.
You bet, David. Good to have you here on the National Day of Prayer.
Yeah, what a wonderful day. Let me ask you about the National Day of Prayer and this White House initiative, this faith initiative. Explain it a little bit to me exactly. And also, it took a year. I mean, it didn't come out a year ago. Why the delay on that?
Well, I think what the American people have learned in the last 15 months is that people of faith all across this nation have a champion in President Donald Trump. A year ago, he said we were a nation of faith. And he took action last year to make sure that the federal government never imposed on the religious liberty of Americans, like in cases like the Little Sisters of the Poor. But this year, the president signed an executive order in the Rose Garden, David, that establishes a policy initiative within the White House that puts faith really at the center of policy development. You know, virtually every agency has a faith-based office that sees to the impact on communities of all types of faith in this country, of various agency efforts. But this is really about making sure that as we develop policies for the country, that we're always making room for those unalienable rights, the free exercise of religion that Americans cherish.
Let me ask you, we have obviously just a few minutes, so Jerusalem, which you can talk about, I know, you can talk about a while. Many Christians praying for the peace of Jerusalem. What about the embassy? Will you or the president go over to the embassy May 14th when it opens in Jerusalem? And what about Netanyahu specifically about what he said the other day about Iran lying about their nuclear weapons program? Do you believe that?
Well, first, the United States has confirmed the authenticity of the materials that Israel obtained that prove that despite what Iran said for years that they had never attempted to develop a nuclear weapon, clearly here are volumes of evidence that prove that Iran was in a headlong rush up into and past the beginning of the 21st century to develop a nuclear weapon. And that is obviously going to color our evaluation of the Iran nuclear deal. The president has a decision to make, but we're grateful for the efforts of our cherished ally Israel in bringing this information before the world during this time. But I have to tell you, there's many decisions that President Trump has made since we took office. But I don't know, David, that I've been more proud to see this president do what successive administrations had promised for more than 2 decades, when he recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and announced that we were moving the United States embassy there. I know construction is underway. I just saw some good photographs of some of the finishing touches being put on.
Want to see him in person?
And you know, we had the privilege of being in Jerusalem earlier this year. I had the honor of speaking before the Knesset and speaking about that strong bond between the people of the United States and the Jewish state of Israel. We're all finalizing plans about the American delegation. We'll have announcements about that in the days ahead. But when we open the American embassy in Jerusalem, we will, in a very real sense, end this historic fiction. We'll embrace reality, and President Trump and I both believe that in doing that, that peace in the region becomes more possible once we confirm that we stand with Israel, we stand with Jerusalem as her capital, and now we can move on to see if there's a way forward to end years of conflict in the region.
Folks that are people of faith, Christians, excuse me, are really tired of the pot shots that are taken at them. Many pot shots have been taken, obviously, at you and others. The Joy Behar thing comes to mind, and then the other night, Michelle Wolf, who mentioned you by name, by the way. Who said about how you believe abortion is murder. I mean, it was just not only untrue, but over the top. How tired are you of kind of having to defend these values on folks like Joe Behar, but specifically what Michelle Wolf said the other day?
Well, let me say I'm pro-life, and I don't apologize for it. And I couldn't be more honored to serve shoulder to shoulder with the most pro-life president in my lifetime. I mean, President Donald Trump has taken one step after another to affirm this administration's commitment to the sanctity of life. But with regard to the critics, David, you know it comes with the territory. You know, as the Bible says, I count it all joy when I endure trials or criticisms. But at the end of the day, just our focus is completely on the work. it's one of the great things about serving with President Trump is he's always focused on the next thing we're doing. He's always focused on what's going to make the most difference for the American people, and that's where we keep our focus.
Prayer alive and well in the White House as well, not just on the National Day of Prayer. We've heard stories. There's prayer going on inside that White House.
There's prayer going on a regular basis in this White House, and it's one of the most meaningful things to me is whether it's public meetings or not. I've lost count of the number of times that the president's nudged me or nudged another member of the cabinet and said, let's start this meeting with prayer. He's someone who really believes in the power of prayer and in the importance of faith in American life. You saw that in high relief at the White House today, but it's not just on the National Day of Prayer.
A pleasure, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rice.
Thank you, David.